Guys, welcome back. So before we did a little live stream of brewing a coffee and I used the Comandante Grinder. So now I'm going to do a little bit of a video on a demo on how I clean these and how I maintain these grinders. So this is the new Comandante MK4 yeah, let's get into it. So first I'm going to show you a little bit of the parts. So starting here, we've also got some David Bowie going on in the background. So starting here, we've got the wooden knob. This is made from real wood, followed by the stainless steel crank, which is attached to a lid. This whole part is removable. And to clean this, all we got to do is just use a little bit of a cloth and or some tissue paper, whatever you have on hand. And that's about it for this part. Sometimes you'll find that the wooden knob either squeaks. In that case, what you can do is you can actually remove it and you can apply some natural oil like olive oil or anything like that, and or a natural lubricant, and that will do the job to lubricate and stop that squeaking noise. This is fine though, this doesn't need it, it's a relatively new grinder. Moving on, we've got the axle, which is housed inside, and it's got the three little center pieces that hold it in. This is a feature on the new grinder where this is now it's flushed. It's I'm not too sure of the word, but it's different. Usually with the MK3, what happens is sometimes beans actually get stuck inside. So yeah, we got the real wood. This is like a veneer, and this is the American Cherry. So it's a really beautiful looking grinder. Stainless steel parts. It's got the two jewel bearings, so it's super smooth as well. With this grinder, we also have the new jar. So this is actually a polymer. This is a BPA-free polymer, so it's plastic, unlike the old MK3 glass jars. Some people prefer the glass jars, but yeah, cool. Guys, if you have any questions along the way, I'm going to just go ahead and clean this, so yeah, feel free to ask. Alright, so now first things first is that's kind of the main parts to it. You got the body, the crank, lid, and the little jar as well. It comes with another jar and a lid, and it's the same. You get one glass and one polymer jar with the new MK4s, and that's standard across all of the colors because this is the American Cherry. There's also the black, and yeah, some of the other colors. Cool. So to clean this, what you have to do is just use a regular sink. Just wash it fine, just like you would any other dish. Dishwasher safe, perfectly fine to use. Exact same way you do with the glass jars. Cool. Alright, so now that we got those two out of the way, because I don't have a sink here, what I'm just going to do is literally just with the brush, give it a quick little brief clean, I guess. Awesome. What grinders are you guys using? You got a Comandante as well, or I think in my previous live stream someone said that they had a Barista, I believe. Barista grinder, which is an electronic grinder. Any other hand grinder users? Alright. Now that that's all been wiped pretty good, just here I've also got the air duster, which is really cool. I prefer using these over the can of air just because it's so much easier. Sorry, it's reusable. So those other can of air, they're pretty bad for the environment. So yeah, just opt for one of these. You can use it time and time again, and they work just as good, I think. You can use, I think if you just Google lens cleaner, or camera duster or something like that, these are super great cleaning tools for grinders. Cool. I'm just going to pop these two parts to the side, and we're going to tackle this. So, oh, there you go. Just a big chunk of coffee just fell out then. Maybe that's why my dose showed up a little bit short last time. So now, just with the little brush, you can also use a paintbrush or anything like that. Something with bristles that isn't wire brush. That's pretty much all the requirements that you need. We're going to go in and we're going to do all of these tubes. Just wipe it down, removing all of the extra fines and all the other little particles and whatnot. And we're going to reach all the way down and we're going to hit those burrs. We're not going to focus too much on the burrs at the moment, but as you can see, there's already stuff coming out at the bottom. And this is probably after 1 or 2 weeks of solid use. So I'm just mainly hitting the outside and then also those internal sort of support beams. I'll do that a little bit closer so you can see. Guys, if you guys are Comandante users, I'd love to hear what grinder you're using, or if you have a coffee grinder, what sort of coffee grinders are you using? Let me know. We got David Bowie happening in the background. It's a great Saturday. Alright, remember, clean your grinders. Cool. After that, just going to go in with my air duster and look at all that excess. Oops. Just come flying out. So I'm just mainly focusing around those hot spots just under here towards the sides. And yeah, all this build up, it's natural. These are grinders, they're supposed to get dirty, but we just need to maintain them and clean them, and they'll look after you. Cool. Moving on to the back plate. So I'm gonna do like a brief initial cleaning. So I'm just gonna hit this little adjustment piece, and that tends to turn around. There we go. Since this brush has longer bristles, I'm actually just going to pinch it, and what that does is it makes it a lot firmer. And when I do that, as you can see, it really tackles all of the grinds, just the built up. Sometimes with grinds and oils it can turn into this nasty, especially if you're using a darker roast coffee, which I'm not. But if I was, it can build up into this nasty, thick sort of consistency, and the smell is disgusting. So it's important just to maintain and to clean your grinder, your coffee grinder. Cool. So I've hit all around this moving part, just that line in between the inner and the outer burrs. And what that's doing, that's literally where the grinds exit from for this grinder. Your grinder might be a little bit different, so you just have to remember that. But yeah, that's the exit of the grinder, so I'm just making sure to really focus on that part. Another hot spot for these grinders is up here. This is where it actually screws on. So because it has the little grooves where it attaches, because it has the little grooves, what that means is lots of grinds actually do get caught in that little spot there. So what I do is I just hold the brush and I spin the grinder, and that way I can tackle all of that excess, all the grinds that are stuck in there. Cool. Alright, now that that's done with my duster, I'm just going to go in. I'm going to hit up all of those little spots, all those little grooves, and also that center piece where the burrs meet. I'm just going to make sure that I really get in there good. Fantastic. That's all done. So from here, we've got the body pretty much cleaned. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the lid and the crank back on, and we're going to take this apart even further. So just with my non-dominant hand, I'm going to hold that with everything in place, and I'm actually just going to lock that. So when I move this piece, it will unscrew instead of anything else. Sorry, instead of continuously spinning like it would. So we're just going to go full course all the way. And what that does is it actually removes, it detaches the grinding piece, the grinding adjustment just here from the actual axle. And as you can see, the distance between the burrs, it's becoming a lot greater, so a lot more coarse. And when we go all the way coarse, this piece is actually just gonna slide out completely, unscrew, and come off like that. This is how you access the burrs. So as you can see, they're conical burrs. Comandante use high nitrogen stainless steel conical burrs. These are the inner burrs, and then just housed around here are the outer burrs. And there's 3 screws. We never touch those screws. From here, what we're going to do is we're going to place our finger here, and we're actually going to push down. And pull this part out. There we go. So now that everything's out, fully disassembled, we're going to also have to remember how it goes back in. But we've got the axle and the 2 washers. I'm just going to keep it like that and pop it there for the moment so I don't lose anything. I'm also just going to move this over here too. Cool. Alright. From here, we've exposed the bearing here. Try not to touch it too much unless there is grinds already. And we're just going to go around and we're going to reach fully all the way down through the grinder. And this is going to hit the inner burrs. And as you can see, it's definitely getting in there. I'll show you from this side. I'm reaching all the way around. There you go. Guys, if you have any questions, just feel free to ask and I'll get to them. Alright. So those outer burrs are pretty clean. There's no more grinds that are left on them. Just gonna do a final little sweep, make sure that I haven't missed anything. Cool. There you go. So there's a tiny little bit left. Small amount of grinds that are left, but golden brown coffee, how are we going? Tiny little bit left, but there we go. After I've used my brush, just going to do a final sweep with the air duster. Cool. So we've gone into that middle axle where the bearings were and all around the body, and that follows down. So this is completely deconstructed now. Fantastic. All right. As you can see, it's removed a lot of the excess particles that were lingering around. And it's done a pretty good job. There we go. Alright, now that that's done, pop that to the side and we're going to tackle the burrs. Try not to touch these, and when you, the actual blades that is, and when you are handling these, please be careful as they are sharp. So first thing, just with a brush, I'm going to pinch my brush, and what that does is it makes a point, and the bristles are a little bit more firmer, and I'm just going to hit all those little grooves, just like that. Cool. Guys, if you've got any other questions or you're curious about Comandante grinders or thinking about different grinders, just let me know. Do you guys any hand grinder users at home? Let me know. There we go. Cool, so we've hit up all these tiny little crevices. These are the blades that really cut the bean and do a great job of making an even distribution of these coffee grinds. Arguably these are one of the most important pieces of the grinder, so we want to make sure that they're well kept and nice and sparkling clean. So these are high nitrogen stainless steel burrs. They are probably what Comandante have going for them at the moment. They are probably one of the better burr sets available on the market. There are some other competitors, but I reckon Comandante were one of the first to use such a high quality burr set in a consumer product. So and they've been around for a while now, so it's a really definitely a standard for coffee brewing. Back to the grinder. So as you can see, there's been a tiny little bit of oil that's come up on my fingers, so I'm just trying not to touch those burrs, the actual burrs themselves. So in between the spring and the burr set, what I can do is I'm actually just going to remove that, and as you can see, there's a little bit of coffee grounds that are always stuck in there. So just with my brush, I'm going to hit that little spot there, and then with the duster I'm going to go ahead and be a little bit more aggressive. Cool, I'm happy with that. Pop that to the side, and with my brush I'm just going to do a final little sweep of this, I almost said spiral, this spring here. Groovy. Pop that back in. And the last piece is this little grind adjustment, a little clicker. So this part, as you can see, it's got 3 little dots, and they're tiny little bearings, or they're tiny little balls that fit into the grinder, the actual burr set, the inner burr set, and when you adjust your grind size, these indicate the increments in which you do that. Basic bitch. Hi there. Cool. Alright, that's all done, that's all been cleaned. So, what I'm going to do at this stage, now that I'm happy that all of the grinds have been removed, and there's no oils and there's nothing left on this grinder, what I can do is I can actually go ahead and use a cloth or a cloth or anything like that to actually go in and to so as long as it's dry and it's not too humid or anything, go in and just do a final little sweep of this grinder. So as you can see, it doesn't take too much time out of your day, but it is a little bit of work just to get this back into action. Cool, so not a whole lot of oils and fines left that we missed, so it indicates we did a pretty good job so far. Alright, now that that's done, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to apply some oil. I don't do this too often, but when I do it, I do the tiniest little bit. So I've got some natural olive oil, and I'm actually going to use this as my lubricant. I'm going to show you how I do that. So obviously this has been contaminated a little bit, but I don't mind too much. So I'm just going to open it up. With the olive oil, I'm just going to do a tiny little dot. Just like this. Tiniest little dot. There we go. I'm going to remove the little washers, and I've got my axle here. I'm just going to pop that there and give it a good lubrication. I'm not going to hit that screw, and I'm also not going to go past that line, as that is where the burr set sits, and I don't want to get any oil on that. So just going to give it good lubrication. Sweet. As you can see, a lot's come off so far, and that's the old oil. So I'm just going to do it a little bit of a dry section to get most of that oil off again, if there's any left. And also just to make sure that everything else is rubbed in. Cool. And that's come up a lot more cleaner. There we go. Alright, that's done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of the washers back in. So it's important that these are always positioned the same way. So there's two sides to these. You've got the flat side, and then I'll switch it over, and you've got the side with the little raised edge. So this is going to always point towards the burr set. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that, and I'm going to put it in that way. There you go. So there's a little knock thing, like a little part that holds that and refrains that from going down any further. Cool, so that's been installed correctly, and we're going to put that in from the top here. And it might need a little bit of support. There we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get the second washer, and we're also going to put that little raised edge down and pop that in, followed by the spring and the burr set, the inner burrs. And then at this stage I've actually missed a step. I need to attach this lid, and that way, once that's been attached, I can then hold this and support it just like I did when I took it out, and we're going to go ahead and put this little grinds adjustment in. Alright, awesome. So now that that's been attached correctly, we're going to go all the way fine. Alright, and we'll know when we've gone all the way fine, we're going to reach our 0 point. And the 0 point basically refers to when this clicker stops clicking and the burrs meet. And that's indicated by when this handle is swinging or not. Because when the burrs meet, it's going to lock into place and we're not going to be able to move. So it can still move. So it's not at the 0 point yet. Almost there. There we go. So now that it's at the 0 point, that handle has been supported and it's no longer moving. So we don't want to grind on this 0 point. Instead, what we want to do is we want to back off. We always don't want to leave this in the 0 point, because if you forget and you pick it up and you start grinding for whatever reason, you're going to destroy your burr set. We also don't want to go past the 0 point. After the 0 point, if you go past it, what's going to happen is you're going to start closing the distance between these burrs, and you're going to have a real hard time at finding the 0 point later on. So we want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So that's 20 clicks. That's 20 positions from the 0 point that this grinder has gone in. As you can see, we've done a great job with the lubrication and it's super smooth. And it will just stay there rolling. There we go, guys. That's how you clean your Comandante grinder. Yeah. If you have any questions, feel free, drop a comment down below. Get back to you soon. This is the American Cherry MK4 grinder from Comandante. We've just finished cleaning it. We've also put a small amount of olive oil, and we're having fun just spinning it now. It's a beautiful grinder, the wood finish, everything. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually just going to give this a quick clean. Actually, that was pretty bad. I'm going to pop this on. And I'm actually just going to, with a tiny little bit more of that oil, just going to put it on the edge. Since I'm already wearing gloves, it's fine. So I'm actually just going to treat the finish. So you can see I'm not using much at all, that's not even a drop. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to remove this. And we're going to go in like that. And this will protect your grinder. As long as you do it correctly. It will protect, because it's a natural veneer, it's a wooden grinder. And that way, because we're doing this, it will also, it's just good practice. There is another product that you can use, but I just use olive oil. It's a natural product. It's a natural oil, won't harm your grinder, won't harm your wood finish, and it comes out just banging. It's got a real nice shine to it now. It's almost as nice as when it was straight out of the box. So yeah, as you can see, this is the way to go. You can, I think they've got a wax. There's a Comandante wax. I don't stock it. I don't see much point in stocking something that, you know, you can just do with some olive oil, really, or any other natural oil. There we go. Make sure, you know, I don't think that you can harm it by doing this too much. Just making sure that that oil is completely seeped in. Now, if it becomes too slippery, you've put way too much. It should not be slippery when you feel it. It should still maintain really grippy. And as you can see, I know I've got the gloves on, but it really is. It's grippy. It's not too slippery. If you've put too much on, it's going to be way too slippery. Alright, while I'm here, and I've got this all oiled up, I'm just going to do the outside of this wooden knob as well. Since it's wooden, this is how you treat it. And it will come out great. Really nice finish for this one. I might just pop a tiny little bit more oil just to make sure that I've really well applied this. This is just general toilet paper. There's nothing too special about this. And yet it does a really good job for applying this oil. And yeah, just regular olive oil. Who'd think? as you can see, that shine is just impeccable. You can go ahead and use this olive oil all the way down on the stainless steel, as long as you wipe it off as well. I don't see that as being too much harm. There you go. And yeah, after that, we've gone ahead, it's been well oiled. There's a super nice, satisfying finish. Sparkling clean. And we've got the lid. Might need a tiny little bit of polishing up. As long as it's not too much. This rag's a bit fucked, but that's alright. There we go. I'm just using a rag while I've got one here, because the tissue's starting to break up a little bit and it's got this fibrous result. So that is perfect now, it's spotless. And that's how you do it, guys. Super easy to do. We've oiled the outside of the grinder as well. We don't use the wax spun. You can if you like, but I don't. That's magnetically held in place. And as you can see, it just spins endlessly. So satisfying. And it's shiny. It's got a nice finish to it. This American cherry has a really nice finish going for it. We've got these glass jars also have a polymer jars, excuse me. They have the logo on it, the Comandante logo. So the glass jars, they don't actually have that logo. It's it just says C40 or something like that. And there we go. Thanks so much for watching. I'm going to wrap things up there. As you can see, sparkling clean grinder to start the week off right. Comandante MK4. I'm going to go clean up this mess. And yeah, see you next time. Thanks, guys.